All right, it's 4 o'clock.
We're getting ready to start our meeting, so.
Okay, great.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When we get to you guys, I'll let you know, okay?
Sure, thank you.
All right, I need a roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Here.
Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Here.
Commissioner Dolger, absent. Commissioner Zimmerman.
Here.
Need a minutes approved for meeting held on March 6, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Dolger, absent. Commissioner Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, to visitors, Wade and Walden.
Okay, thank you. On behalf of the Mount Carmel Kiwanis Club, we've approached the city council about having a circus here April the 22nd on a Saturday. The club has an opportunity to also have a circus on Sunday, April the 23rd. So we would like to ask permission to have the circus down at South Union Industrial Park there on Lot 3 for Saturday and Sunday, and that way we can provide the city of Mount Carmel 4 shows instead of 2 shows.
There you go. Sounds great.
Okay. Got any questions or anything? We good to go? Okay. You ready to go?
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Always enjoy doing it. Thank you.
Also, Mayor, Commissioner Dolger's on.
Okay. He's not attended.
Yes.
All right. Okay, today we have Keystone with a solar project they're remoting in. So Laura Lynn Farwell and then Anthony from Keystone are with us. So I will let them take over.
Well, thank you, Mayor, Judge. We really appreciate you giving us the time today. And we're real excited about the project, both Anthony and I and the whole team here. So we have provided a proposal for you. I don't know if you have that or, oh, yes, you do. Perfect. So we thought we'd just I know we're short on time with you guys, so we just thought, just kind of give you some background on Keystone and the basics of the project and let you answer questions, if that sounds all right.
Sounds great.
Okay, great. So yeah, so at Keystone, we've probably done more wastewater treatment plants, solar for wastewater treatment plants in Illinois than we think pretty much any other company. We've been doing it for 5 years. And this project is a 500 half megawatt project, which is right in our wheelhouse for Mount Carmel's wastewater treatment plant. We currently probably have about, I think, 8 or 9 projects completed with about five more coming up just this year. So we're real comfortable working with municipalities and wastewater treatment plants and getting the projects up and running. I know you've met Anthony. He was down there to visit you guys back in February, I believe. Is that right, Anthony?
Yeah, that's right.
Great. So we really appreciate that. I know that was really he really enjoyed the visit and we learned a lot. So the basics of the way we do a project like this is called a power purchase agreement. And if you go to the fourth slide, basically there's no upfront capital required of Mount Carmel. All of the financing, construction, development, and then ongoing maintenance and operation are done by Keystone. The only thing Mount Carmel would be agreeing to is to purchasing at a discounted rate the kilowatt hour supply that comes from the solar. So there's very little risk unless you think that rates are going to go down for energy costs. Obviously, currently we're seeing quite the opposite, but you know, even when they even out, I mean, that's your biggest hedge. However, we do offer options, and I know that Anthony provided you with this, buyout options.
Yes.
In years 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. Did you have questions about that since that was a specific request, Mayor?
No question. It was just curiosity.
Okay. So yeah, so you do have those options. If you go to the next slide, this is just the overview, the design. for where the solar would be, where you see the blue portion there. And based on, looking at your bills and your annual, usage, the system size is a 500 kilowatt DC system. It's gonna offset 94% of your total usage annually at the plant. So, there's a little headroom if you have over 30 years, if you have efficiencies or whatever. We don't wanna put, more than you need because it's just, it doesn't economically make sense, but, you should be in good shape there. If you go to the next page, this is kind of alluding to what we were just talking about. We have this is a chart that shows, the cost of energy inflation both in Illinois and then nationally. Illinois is in the orange there. And, you know, we use it's about 3.4%. It's been over the last, 4 or 5 years. Currently, we're closer to 4% energy inflation and heading higher. But for the purposes of doing a savings analysis, please know we use a more conservative number of 3.4%, as the cost of annual energy inflation in Illinois. And, we were happy to provide different stats that where we pulled that. It's all, from the Department of Energy. Anthony, did you want to add anything to that?
No, that's fine. I mean, basically, this is a long contract. That's the main issue with these solar contracts, is it's 30-year contract. So you need to think about what's happening to power prices in the future. And if you think they're flat or going down, then you probably shouldn't lock into a long-term contract. If you think they're gonna stay the same or increasing, then it makes sense if you're getting a discount. So this is just historical data that helps inform your decision when you're thinking about that. 'Cause that's the biggest objection we get is the length that the solar systems last.
Right. So that's the basics of it. And if you guys would, we can take a look at more of a deeper dive. If you can, Mayor, if you don't mind pulling up the actual Excel sheet that kind of goes into year by year. It might be at the bottom of it might be the last page or a separate PDF.
Would be, that sounds like you sent me.
Yes.
Here, Laurelyn, I think I can do it.
Okay, great. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
We base it in the bottom right here on your usage, the actual usage of the plant. You can see, as Laurelyn said, the design will get you to under 95% of your usage. And then up in the top here, it's the size of the system, the output we expect, and then your current rate, and it going up by that 3.4%, she said, and then our rate, which is like 45% less, and it going up only by 2.25% per year. We're also willing to do a flat rate if that's a question. It's about a penny higher, so it'd be like 5.7 cents flat. But this is for an escalator. You can see in the first year you would save from the energy you bought from us versus what you're normally paying, about $28,000 that first year. And it just goes up because the utility rate goes higher with a cumulative savings of over $1 million, but over $1.5 million. So it's a good deal if you believe power prices are going up, which they've gone up a lot and they usually don't go down much. So that's what we're offering, is saving some immediate savings and really a lot of cumulative savings over the length of the project.
I think that make 30 years.
Yeah. So your cumulative savings are about 1.5 million over the 30-year. But this breaks it down year after year, per year and cumulative. Were there questions around any of this so far, guys?
What was she talking about, the buyback? I didn't quite understand that.
Earlier, she talked about the buyout. We, in a meeting with David James, he asked me to find out what the buyout was at 10/15/2025 and stuff
Okay,
like that.
I thought she said something about buy it back, so we're not gonna produce more than we need, that's what she's saying.
We're gonna produce less than what we need,
Okay.
just because we still have to be hooked up with MCPU.
Sure.
But, also, if our usage changes, if it goes down, if we do away with a screw or a pump or
Right.
something like that, or we get more efficient stuff with variable frequency drives, things like that, new types of automations, that will allow us to decrease our usage.
Okay, okay.
So, and you're not gonna do, I mean, right now they've sized it 6% less than maximum what our needs are, but we'll probably never realize a 6% reduction in usage,
Okay.
so.
So we would be subsidized by the public utility then?
Say what now?
If we need more, or
Yes,
and
yeah.
things to that account?
Yeah,
At the end of the 30 years, or if the equipment needs replaced at some point, that's all on
them.
Keystone.
And see, that's the thing with the buyout, Anthony and Laura Lynn provided me that about year 10 is when your inverters start going out and things like that. And so that's when you're starting to maintain and dump more money back into the system. And if I mistakenly say this, Laura Lynn or Anthony, it's about $75,000 for an inverter. So
That's right.
and think we'll have two, is that, am I remembering that correctly?
We'd probably do 100 kilowatt inverters, so you'd have 5.
5, okay, so.
Yeah.
And those costs are covered by that?
That, yes,
Well, it's in our model if we own it. If you
Yeah.
guys bought it at year 10, you buy it as it is, right?
Mhm.
And you would have to take that responsibility yourselves, right? But the default contract is we own it, we include all costs. I mean, all costs, even the mowing around the area where we're fenced in. All the costs inside of there, whether it's placing panels or any kind of yearly maintenance, mowing the grass, all that's on us.
the
Burner replacements, everything.
insurance, things like that, all that is on them. So, anyway. Anybody else have any questions? So, explain our next step, Anthony or Roman, so the council understands.
Sure. So the next step is a non-binding letter of intent. It's a simple 2-page contract. I believe we've provided it with you, but we can be happy to send it over again. It's basically saying that, you're agreeing that we can start spending the money that we need to do for designs. We have to apply for interconnect, the adjustable block program. There's a number of things, obviously, pre-construction that need to happen. And that takes some time. We'll work with utilities and all that. A lot of stuff, we don't really control the timing, but we spend the money immediately once you sign the LOI. That's our dime, it's no risk on you. For engineering, design, line drawings, submission to the interconnect. So all of that starts happening. You have 6 months. Basically, you could walk away from it at the end of the 6 months. Typically, that doesn't happen. But in case there's some reason we can't build it or whatever, or something else comes up, it's non-binding. Concurrently with that, we would work with you on the larger power purchase agreement itself, and send you a draft, and typically that goes to the city attorney, and that goes back and forth while we're doing all the engineering and submissions and all that. So we ask for a 6-month time period. Obviously, we're spending money, up to, from $15,000 to $30,000 on this portion of it. So at the end of it, if you decide you don't want to move forward, basically we're saying, that's work we did and we paid for, so we're going to keep that, and that's proprietary to us. That's essentially what the LOI says. So
Yeah.
It's just a first step, and then the PPA, you'll have time to review all that before that gets signed. Again, that's concurrently over the next bunch of months.
Yeah, it's a 2-page letter of intent, and it's totally non-binding, but it just says you awarded it to us. So you gotta do whatever your rules are about picking us, because we don't wanna spend that 15-30 grand without you giving us the project. So you give it to us, you say it's yours, we haven't signed everything yet, but we wanna do this. Then we'll go and spend all the dollars, we'll work on the contracts, and we'll get the project ready to be built. If you decide, you don't wanna do it, then you can walk away and we eat all those costs. But generally, once towns have awarded it to us, they follow through, because everything we say we do, and there's no tricks or gotchas apart from everything we've talked about. You know, the main issue being that it's a long-term contract.
Do they lease the land from us or do we give them the land? How does that work?
It's a lease.
It's a lease?
Yes. It's like a dollar lease because of just the nature of it all, similar to what we do like with Little League or
Okay.
pickleball, things like that.
Okay.
I don't think you ever give a dollar, but you know.
No, but I
Yeah.
understand. I just didn't know if we were actually selling them the land too, so
No,
that if we
no.
chose not to do that, that the land would then belong to them.
Yeah, no, it's just a simple lease agreement, so.
Yeah, we can do it a couple ways. We can do lease, we can do license, or we actually prefer easement. That's the easiest way, and it gives us rights, but however you guys wanna do it, there's not really a payment for that, as the mayor said, but it just gives us access rights to the land to build and operate the systems, but it's your land. And you have to approve everything too. It's not like we go willy-nilly and, you know, mess up your plant or anything like that. You approve all the designs and the layouts and all that good stuff as well.
So how many years are they responsible for maintaining it?
30,
The full 30?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the PPA is 30 years. You can buy it after year 10. We can't do much earlier than that because there's these things called recapture.
Yep.
So part of the trick of this is we take advantage of tax incentives that you're not eligible for, depreciation and the investment tax credit. So, by us owning it, we pay taxes. So we can take advantage of those incentives and use that to subsidize the cost to you. We also get the Illinois state subsidies. If you owned it yourself, you know, if you put money up and owned it yourself without us, you could get those subsidies, but you couldn't get the federal ones like we can. So, yeah, it's a long-term contract. You can buy it after 10 years once those tax things have gone away. But most of our towns plan on keeping it for the duration. At the end of term, something we didn't discuss, it's in the contract. The default option is we pay to take it away. Some counties in Illinois require us to put up a decommissioning bond just to make sure that there's money there to take it away. But that puts the town in a really good position at the end of term. We're highly incentivized to extend to you after the initial term at a really low rate because we don't want to pay to take it away or sell it to you for a really cheap price. So that's in our contract, but that's well down the road.
How many other companies are out there?
There are several, I mean, I've talked to 4 now, but, each of them have their own caveat on how they come to do business and stuff, and most of them, you know, have been, well, we want to come in, we want to take care, take advantage of everything, and then after it's up and running within 5 years, sell it to you. Well, what happens is once you start doing that, you're gonna have to hire somebody to maintain and upkeep it and everything else, and then insure it. And anyway, it could get expensive for us going the alternative route, unfortunately. And we've had David James from Mount Carmel Public Utility in meetings, and we've talked to him about different aspects of it, and anyway. And I've reached out and spoke with several different municipalities already dealing with Keystone. So,
David has a
David.
question.
Mayor, if the council would be interested in it, we would love to open up everything that we have as far as the records for the sewer so that you guys have all the information that you can have before you make this decision.
Right.
Understand that the utility, you're speaking about the voided cost of energy, so this doesn't affect public utility either way. It's just that the price that you're paying for energy. So
Right.
we'll be happy to help you out in any way.
And before we get to making the decision, this is just an informational for the council, since we haven't got that far yet, so
Just wanted to make that offer for you.
we will take advantage of that.
Thanks, David.
So, all right, Laura, Lynn, and Anthony, I appreciate it very much, and we will be talking in the near future.
Thank you, let us know.
Are we sure?
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Uh-huh.
Take care. Bye-bye.
moving on to reports unless there's another visitor. Oh, we do have another visitor, Mr. Peach.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm Ron Peach. I don't know if all of you know me, but I voted for every one of you, and I guess I will again, because nobody's gonna get you. But I'm here about the river lots down there. I know that you all decided you was gonna rent them for $100 apiece. I have, 5 lots that Don Price gave to my wife. We've been taking care of them for about 30 years. Every year, I talked to the mayor, every year I lose anywhere from 2 to 3 foot off the bank. I've had, 3 sets of tank battery steps that the river's taken away. I had them there for years, and then all of a sudden they all took off. I don't know where they landed. But I would be willing to buy those 5 lots down there. And I know if you want to rent them, only 2 of them that I'll rent. Because the other 3 are, I believe, in 10 years, they're going to be gone, and your road will be in jeopardy. It's and I do pay taxes on the lot that I do own, and taxes run a little over $20 a year. But I don't believe you'll ever rent the other 3. I was at the auction where the people bought that bunch of lots down there north of me, and they gave a hell of a big price for them. And Chad White, then he thought he had a gold mine down there, and he don't. That's not. But as far as the lots go, if I had them all together, I'd like that. But I'd be willing to bid on them, and I'd put a nice bid on them because I've had them so. So I know that y'all said that you wanted to rent them. Like I say, I would rent the 2, but I wouldn't rent the other 3. And if I bid on all of them and somebody gets in between me, well, they're gonna wind up with a grouchy old man on one side of it. So, I would appreciate it if you would put them up for bid, because I would probably bid enough that I don't think anybody else would go again. I do have a lot down there that is the worst lot right now as far as looks. If you drive that river road, I let a friend of mine use it for nothing. All I do is pay the light bill, and he pays me back to the lights. And I've got on to him about cleaning that up, and I would appreciate it if you'd write me a letter and tell me to clean that lot up. I'll
There you
get
go,
to
Mr.
it.
Gidcombe.
Mr. Gay can take care of that.
Yep. Mr. Peach, thank you.
Okay,
We'll take your request under advisement. We can't make action on it this evening.
okay.
But at the next council meeting, we can bring it up for discussion. Anybody else to speak this evening? All right.
I have one question.
Yep.
Where are those lots located? Just visually take me through.
Probably north of Fifth Street, aren't they?
What?
They're gonna be south of the wooded area that has the little oil pump.
You know where the oil derrick is? They're, be on the, west side of, the River Road, between River Road and the levee. So basically, if you went the Brush Harbor, went across the levee and straight across from the Brush Harbor, in that vicinity, it's kinda got a little bit of a kick in the road, I believe.
Yeah, my lot number is 916, I believe, 906 hydraulic.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Is it down from where Shad's is at, or
Yes, it would be south.
south from there?
Yep. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But y'all go down there and look at them, and you'll see what I'm talking about, the river taking them away.
It's taking a lot of ground, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. since the sand and gravel quit pumping that sand and gravel out, the river's shifting to Illinois side, and Indiana's getting bigger over there. But, Illinois is getting littler.
What's the odds? All right, thank you very much. All right, moving on to reports and communications. Ask for prayers for the Gerald Brooks family. Gerald was director of WEMA here in Mount Carmel for a number of years, friend to a lot of people, and he will be missed, and we appreciate everything he did for Wabash County and the city of Mount Carmel. Next Tuesday and Wednesday, City Clerk Ryan Turner and myself will be traveling to Washington, D.C. as a part of the Illinois congressional delegation. I'll be one of 36 mayors from the state of Illinois chosen for this event. We have meetings already set up with Dick Durbin, Tammy Duckworth, Mike Bost, and several others. We plan to lobby for support for several large projects that will need federal funding to make them possible for residents of Mount Carmel and Wabash County. Our big one, I know we brought in the pool feasibility study a couple weeks back. That is one of the things that Ryan and I will be presenting to multiple people, and probably, hopefully, get more audience from others higher up than Congresswoman, and the reps. So anyway, excited about that. Hopefully we can get some traction on getting some funding for some large projects here in Mount Carmel and Wabash County. Commissioner Meeks.
Thank you, Mayor. Street Department, the last 2 weeks, continue filling potholes. If y'all have any potholes, please call City Hall. We'll get on them as soon as we possibly can. Had several trees in the last 3 or 4 years that have been damaged or just died. We've had them cut down, and we're trying to get those stumps taken out. So, like I say again, call City Hall if you know one. If you have one in your front yard, you're tired of mowing around it or whatever, we'll work on it, try to get it out of there. We cleaned the drainage ditch down at Rose Hill Cemetery. He assisted the water department on a couple of digs. I've been doing some work in the senior citizens building and continue that work. Cleaned the ditch at Southgate. Assisted the brush department in picking up some piles of brush. And we had to replace a water pump on the street department. Got a heck of a deal on that, if I remember right. We were able to buy it local, and it wasn't broken, it just wasn't spraying enough volume, so got that taken care of. End of my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Meeks. Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Past 2 weeks, we have receipts at $350,672, expenditures $84,381, general fund total $3,270,956. We are now over $4 million in our general fund receipts for the year as we come down towards the end of the fiscal year. 117% of budget on revenue. And I also, last week, met with Mr. Turner, kind of go over some of the budgeting he's been working with different departments on, and looked at some of the stuff from last year, and most of the departments were within line on their budgets or right at it or in better shape. So overall, I think we're in pretty good shape as we move into this fiscal year, into the next one. Into my report.
Sounds great. Commissioner Dogger.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to say that the budgets are being worked on. City Administrator Ryan Turner is handling the budgets for my department since I am not re-running for re-election. And I have talked to the departments, and they should be finalizing those with him over the next couple weeks. James Rafferty passed his Class 3 wastewater certificate test, which is big news. That's great. Congratulations to James. And the only other notable thing down there, as it's been working really smoothly lately, is they opened the floodgates and shut down the flood pumps at the levee stations. Water department has also been running well. Keith collected the distribution by bacteriological samples. The last time that was completed, they were well within the limits, so he collected those today to send those off. And then all of our daily samples have been great. Maintenance department, continuing to do what they do. Nothing major over the last 2 weeks, just maintaining our sewer system in town. End of my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Dover. Commissioner Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mayor. The fire department's been busy. They've had 17 meetings, class time, runs within the last couple of weeks. A couple of those were fires that luckily were contained. A couple medical assists in addition. We also had firefighter read to the kindergarten class, and that's always great to see. Our public departments out in the classroom so the kids can see them before an emergency actually happens. I know Chief McWilliams has his guys go and read to the classes also. And I think that that's a great benefit that we have, that our city employees are willing to do that. One of the really neat things that our fire department did was, last Wednesday, they participated in an LP burn class over in Fairfield, and to see how LP actually burns, and that, you know, how it actually, the different temperatures that take place, and that you're not actually putting out the fire itself, but you're more containing the temperature. So that was a very interesting class to participate in. As for our brush department, they are out doing mowing, starting in on that. The sun is out, so the grass is starting to grow. The brush is still going around, picking up your twigs and sticks and things to that account. Please make sure that those are by the street, not in the street, and they won't pick up in the alleys, so those need to be out. And last but not least, we've got our big trash pickup. So the yard sales are on March 31st and April 1st, and then big trash pickup will be on April 3rd. I know the advertisements typically say that it's Big Trash Week. However, your products and all of your things that you want to have picked up need to be out by Sunday night, so that first thing on Monday morning they can pick up. Sometimes they don't get to you on Monday, but items need to be put out on Monday or Sunday night so that they can get to them. If they've already gone by your house, don't put them back out or put things out, because they will not come back around and recollect. End of my report.
I know a couple weeks back, Republic Services requested about bagging of trash on Ladue and Skiles.
Yes,
Did we notify everybody?
yes.
All right.
They were either sent a text message, talked to in person, or left a voicemail and an email.
Sounds like a winner. All right, staff reports, Mr. Turner.
All right, Mayor, like you, like Commissioner Reitmeyer said, we've been working on budgets, and the new payroll system, we're gonna try to roll out at the next, here in 2 weeks, in order to kind of shift away from us doing our own payroll. So we're in the middle of building that network, basically. As you can see on the agenda, we have 3 ordinances up for bid or up for vote, if you guys bring them up. 2086 is basically how that came into fruition is the companies that are doing all the boring in town, such as Clearwave or those, we're spending a lot of man hours helping them out with that, and really, it's beneficial to the community, but it does take away from our regular duties. So we're requesting that 2086 be adopted, and that will make like Clearwave, and I'm using them because they do the most of the boring. That way they bond the project at 1.5 times the value, and also file a $100 permit with the city that we would transfer back into those departments. It's just, you know, they go out and they start boring. If they hit our sewer lines or the customer sewer lines, they're good about taking care of it, but, you know, we want to avoid that to stop a disruption in the first place. So this kind of, it requires them to work a little better with the City Hall on these matters. And we know we're not getting surprised the day of that, hey, we need someone down here because we're going to start boring, which that doesn't happen a lot because of Julie's, but it does happen, so.
So is this gonna be specific projects? Like, I mean, if they decide they wanna go all the way down a street, or, I mean, how do we determine how often they're gonna get permits.
Yeah, mine.
Right now, I've been working with them, and each time they do, like they're going to a new location, they turn in a permit application. I also include public utility on that. And so that way, all of the different entities get a chance to look at what their plan is, whether there's high-pressure gas lines in the way or water sewer lines. So we've been working with them on that. So each project for each destination will be a separate permit.
So,
And since I have really been talking to Wabash Communications and Clearwave, who do the majority of this, I'm hoping that we don't have to wait for another council meeting, that we can get you guys to
I'll make a
possibly.
motion, we just waive the first reading,
Second reading.
second reading, I'm sorry.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Dolger.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Yes.
The second ordinance is 2087, and it's to establish a intergovernmental agreement for participation in MAVIS. MAVIS is an emergency organization that helps our fire department, and maybe Chief Speth, you can.
What it is the mutual aid box alarm system for the state of Illinois. And the agreement is, instead of having individual mutual aid agreements between each department, this will be statewide or multi-statewide when it gets finished, because Indiana, Missouri, Iowa, Michigan, and Wisconsin will be in this too. So if we do have an incident, we wouldn't have to sit down and work out agreement before it already be set up ahead of time. So there's like over 1,200 fire departments that belongs to Mavis in the state of Illinois alone. So it'd be very beneficial if we have a disaster or something like that needed, so.
Mavis is the largest mutual aid in the country, so. All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
All right, roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks.
Yes.
Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Dolger.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Yes.
You second that, you second.
You need your phone.
Oh, that was with waiving the second reading, by the way.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, that was. And the third ordinance that I have is 2088. It's approving a special use for placement of a mobile home in R3 residential district. It was voted upon already by the zoning board, so in reality, it's had one reading. If you guys want to waive the second and approve according to the zoning board, I need a motion.
Hang on real quick. Mr. Gitcom, there was no concern, no objection or anything?
No
from zoning?
concerns, and this mobile home is currently there. The sister is wanting to sell it to her sister, who lives in Chicago. So I had no concerns about it. Nobody had a complaint or an issue.
I will take a motion in waiving the second reading on ordinance 2088.
Ryan,
Yes.
can you tell me what that's for? I was having a hard time hearing.
It's for a trailer that's owned by one person wanting to sell it to a relative to keep it in place.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. And the zoning board recommended to do that, right?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
I'll ask for a motion and waive, for approval and waiving second reading.
I'll make it.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks. Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Dolger.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Yes.
And Mayor, that's all I have.
All right. Moving on to Mr. McCullough.
Thank you, Mayor. We recently just concluded the sale of a property at 218 West Second Street. I think you approved that a couple of months ago. So that has been finished up. One thing I've been working on with Mr. Gitcom is some of these dilapidated properties around town, and that's a process. One of the things we have to do is get a title search, because typically we have to find out who owns it.
Right.
And a lot of these properties, they haven't been paying real estate taxes, and they've been transferred back and forth. People may have died. So we have to figure out who has an ownership interest in those properties and track them down. Then we have to send them notice to correct property. So once that's done, we can file a petition with the court asking for a court order allowing us to demolish the property and then put a lien on the property for the cost of that. So I've been working with Mr. Gitcom. We've got 2 in the pipeline now that we've actually filed the petition for. We've sent the notice. I would suspect by the time we get court approval, everyone's served, because even after we give them notice, we have to serve them with a copy of the petition. They can come to court. We have to have a court hearing. But on those 2 properties, we're probably looking at the summer before we get a court order to finalize that and can begin the process of demolishing these properties. We're trying to take a couple at a time. I know there's several out there. I've got a list of several of them for Mr. Gitcom, so but we're trying to take 2 at a time so we can not bite off more than we can chew, so to speak, and just take it one at a time. So that's really what I've been working on pretty heavily. Obviously, there's a ordinance violation for an individual that's got, I think, junk outside their house, essentially. That's actually set for a hearing in April. I'm working with Mr. Gitcom on that, but that's kind of where we're at on things as far as what I'm doing for the city. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. End of my report.
Thank you, Mr. McCall. Mr. Pennington's not here. Chief McWilliams.
I just have a couple things. Dispatch is gonna train with Public Utility Wednesday tentatively to get the ball rolling on the after-hours gas leak reporting that we discussed last meeting. So I would assume we'll get that going, and soon after I would take over those responsibilities. That'll just allow us a quicker response on gas leaks, which is obviously disastrous if not. Then as far as the volunteering that Ms. Zimmerman spoke about, we're very lucky that the fire department and the police department are as active as they are. You know, something that the police officers do is that twice a month we go to Bridges of Hope and we donate our time to unload trucks. These are trucks loaded full of skids of food, 4 or 5 skids, ceiling high of a box truck, and most of them are elderly people. It's volunteer, nobody gets anything for it. Whoever's working, I'm like, hey, all hands on deck. If we're not doing anything, we leave 1 person on patrol. Everybody else goes down, administrative staff, anybody that's available. We go down and help unload them. That is, I'm very proud of that fact. And one example of that is on Christmas Day, I was contacted by the lady that runs the operation, and she said, Mike, I had a preacher reach out to me that the family needs food. They don't have any food, and it was Christmas Day. Do you have any way to get food to these people? If you remember, Christmas Day was pretty miserable. It was about 0 outside, icy, nasty weather. We took about 3 full boxes of food to this family, delivered it, that morning actually. These are just some of the little things that don't show up necessarily on paper that the mayor has asked us to focus on, and we do try to accommodate those things and many more, such as reading in the schools and being involved. I know the health department's gonna have something coming up, back to school bash in the summer, where the fire and police will be involved to have more positive interactions with kids to make us more welcoming. Outside of that, officers continue to train for the de-escalation training that's required by statute. That's 2-day training that we do not receive any reimbursement for. So I luckily have been able to so far do it with little to no overtime accrued by adjusting schedules and such. We've got almost half of the department done. We've got some time to get it done, but just another unfunded mandate. So, end of my report.
Thank you, Chief McWilliams. Chief Speth.
I got a couple things. I'd like to thank the city council for approving the agreement stuff. We had 6 firefighters that passed their first responders last weekend. We finished up, cleaned up down at Southgate, getting everything out of there that we need to. I'm gonna get with Mr. Gitcom on it, what can be got rid of and stuff, so. It's also gonna be warming up, so please don't take your leaves and burn them in the street or in your backyard or anything like that. So other than that, that's about all I have, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Chief Speth. Mr. Gitcom.
The street sweeper is out and about. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we actually come in early to hit the high-traffic areas on those days, a couple hours early. And then we also have been working on some pretty major projects. Lincoln Park, we just 90% complete. We still have to do some seeding and tilling on that. We've got the project still going on at the park, the main city park. We've got a few other projects, big projects coming up on Market Street and Division Street and Oak Street. Into my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gidcombe. Okay, under new business, the Keystone Energy Solar Project, we've done that. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda? Do I have a second? Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks. Yes. Commissioner Eichmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman.
Yes.
Anything else to be discussed before executive session? No? I need a motion to enter into executive session for the consideration of a certain topic. Executive session pursuant to Section 2C1 of Open Meetings Act, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, and dismissal of specific employees. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Turner.
Commissioner Meeks. Yes. Commissioner Eichmeyer. Yes. Commissioner Gallagher.
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman. Right.